welcome to another On Purpose podcast. This is Luana, your host, and this is On Purpose. Thank you for joining. Subscribe so you never ever miss a segment. Okay? So, as promised, I promised a part 2 with my good friend, Yolanda Presley, and she's back. She's back, y'all.
Hi.
Yay! Yolanda, I knew we weren't going to make it through one segment.
Yeah. It was rough.
We tried.
We did.
We gave it our best. The
We did.
director worked with us, but here we are.
We're back.
So, y'all, we want to take a deeper dive into that topic. Why are you seeking permission? Okay? We talked about, just to recap. Okay, so let me just not assume that everyone saw the last one. So this is Yolanda Presley. So tell the people a little bit about yourself. But if you want to know a whole lot, you're going to have to go one segment back. Okay? But Yolanda's going to tell you, for you latecomers.
Just real quick. Yolanda Presley, the real estate lady.
The real estate lady.
Born and raised in Leesburg. My family, I'm married to the one and only James Presley. I have 2 kids, Shekinah Presley and Malachi Presley. And I'm just happy to be here. I'm ready to dive in.
She's ready to go, y'all.
I'm ready to go. Let's go.
I warned you guys about her. Sitting with Yolanda to do this is like sitting with Shawana. Like, you forget that somebody else is watching. It just feels like a conversation on a girls' night out.
And these conversations that we really have often.
Yeah.
Just in different, spaces. But
yeah. So we talked about why are you seeking permission. And certainly when it comes to what you've been graced to do, what you've been called to do, what you are purposed to do, and even what you enjoy doing.
Absolutely.
I think that's the biggest one for me. Like, if you enjoy it and it's legal, like, why do you need someone's permission? And what does that look like? I want to talk a little bit about what it looks like when you don't get that. Okay? When you don't get what you think people can give you. Because Yolanda talked about in the last segment, people not having the capacity,
Right.
to be able to support you when you need it. And some people can see that you need support, and other times we have to tell people, like, hey, I'm drowning over here.
Right.
And when they don't throw the life vest,
Exactly.
it's because they really don't have the capacity to save you from drowning.
Right.
And when that is the case, like, you should applaud that.
Yeah.
And you should move on, because if a person doesn't know how to save you and they try, y'all both probably gonna drown.
Or when they don't know, when they actually don't want to save you.
Yeah. So let's talk about that.
Hard space.
That's that
the
hard
place.
space, Yolanda.
Yeah.
And we kind of ended there in the last segment. So talk a little bit about that space that you found yourself in one day, and when God spoke to you about people not having the capacity.
Yeah. So we were actually just drowning. Like I said it on the last segment. This is a time that I was laid off again from the city. I was laid off from the city, and then just sort of things just started spiraling, because you got a two household income, 2 income household. Our kids were young, were babies, Malachi, when this first, I had Shekinah and Malachi. I was about to say Malachi wasn't born, but I had Shekinah and Malachi. And I found myself in a place where I literally began to think to myself, why do I keep trying to get something from someone that's obviously not willing to give it to me? You keep trying to get it from them. You keep trying to get it from them. And then even as you begin to, God begins to elevate, or you begin to, come out of whatever space that you're in, for some strange reason, you still try to do things to just get certain people, whoever those people are, just to say something. Just something.
Just acknowledge.
Yes.
Just
acknowledge. And I believe when I look back on things now, people know what they're doing. People know that when you have this thing on the inside of you where you want their support, or you want to hear them say good job, or you want a pat on the back from them, they know when you want that.
And they enjoy withholding it.
Absolutely. They like to see you squirm. They like to see it because it's like, yeah. But honey, when you get a revelation.
Wow.
When you get a revelation of who you are in God.
Yes.
And what God has placed on the inside of you. What God has actually called you to do. Because I can't expect you to be as excited about what God has called me to do when God didn't give it to you. He gave it to me.
Right.
Now I can expect you to support in whatever fashion, but I can't expect you to be in overdrive like I am, because it's not your vision.
It's that misplaced expectation.
Misplaced expectations. And when the Holy Spirit spoke that girl riding down the street and told me I had misplaced expectations, that threw me.
And it put it back on you.
Exactly.
It made you take a look.
Absolutely. Because it's like, you get mad at somebody, they didn't tell you that they was going to do A, B, and C. You just expected it. But the thing is, we expect things because we give things.
I'm just saying.
We expect things because we give things. So when we don't get what we give,
y'all, that hurts.
That hurts.
But it only take one good hurt.
One good hurt.
You shouldn't keep finding yourself in that. But it takes one time.
One good one.
For people to non-verbally tell you, you know what? I know you was there for me.
Exactly.
I have the ability to be there for you, but I got some other things I'm doing.
Right.
It just take that one hurt.
And the thing is with that I've learned over the years, and we've talked about this, me, you, and Shawana have talked about this. When you recognize people for who they are, you just go ahead and accept it, because that's who they are. And you got to be okay with who they are. If they're not going to do A, B, and C, if they don't have it in them to support or check on you or whatever the case may be, that's just who they are. I'm not going to be mad at you for who you are. I'm just going to keep it moving.
Yeah.
And I have put you in a place now where it no longer bothers me, because now I expect that from you.
Wow.
Before I didn't.
Right.
I expected me from you. Now I expect you from you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And when you put people in a folder and you label that folder just right.
Yes.
And you compartmentalize that situation.
Yes.
Like it's like putting all of your flour and sugar and grits and stuff in containers. Once you put the grits in the container and you can clearly see that grits, you don't go reaching for that thinking it's coffee to make you a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Absolutely.
You do not. And so we set ourselves up for this type of disappointment. Rejection comes along with it. Feeling ignored, dismissed. And you really can't blame nobody but yourself. But you really should only experience this once. Because it typically hurts pretty bad.
It hurts pretty bad.
And if you learned your lesson, you know how not to put your hand on that hot stove again.
And that's just so that just goes along with so many other areas of your life as you're moving forward and what you sense and feel God has called you to do. And you got to realize that every space isn't for you,
And that's okay.
and it's okay.
That's okay.
You don't have to be invited everywhere.
Mm-mm.
Cause if I'm not invited, it's okay. I'm not going, and I'm not asking to go.
Mm-mm.
I'm not gonna be your afterthought.
Right.
It's quite all right. Because one thing we gotta realize is that I can be something to you
Mm-hmm.
that you're not to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can hold a place and have value in your life
Mm-hmm.
that you may not have in mine.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't like to accept that.
Mhm.
We're not the same to each other.
Right. Relationships are not always 50-50.
Not always. And we can't think that.
Yeah, and if you think that, then again, you're setting yourself up for failure, because again, you expecting what you pour into them, you're expecting them to pour into you equally. And it just don't work like that, because again, people don't have the capacity.
They don't have the capacity.
You may,
Mhm.
and that's okay. But real mature relationships understand that in certain seasons, Yolanda may give more in our friendship circle than the rest of us are. We may be in a position where we just need somebody to pour
Pour.
into us.
Absolutely.
But that thing will flip,
It'll flip.
and Yolanda will be texting saying, you know what? If y'all don't pray, I'm going to embarrass myself.
Embarrass myself.
So when
And
you...
that's true friendship.
Yes.
That's what you call covenant
Yes.
friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's okay for you to know that I don't have it right now.
Yeah.
I don't have it mentally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it emotionally.
Mhm.
I just don't have it right now.
Yeah.
So I can't you know if I had it, I'm gonna give it to you.
Bottom line.
But I just don't have it right now.
Right.
So that's when I need somebody to pour in the oil and the wine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you gotta have that, and you gotta know where that balance is,
Right.
and who you are to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be okay. Accept us for who we are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's just so important, because you get so much more value out of relationships when you understand, when you really understand where that relationship is on the scale.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Understand, I think Shawana talked about in our last segment that I did with her, she talked about she gave a bunch of descriptions of who people can be to you in your life. And she said when she thought of them, one of them was each one of us in our circle. And she said sometimes that will shift. You know, you may have a friend in your circle that's had some loss, and they may need some grief support. They may need some just some understanding when you say, oh, okay, we're going out. That friend may not want to go out, but if you understand that that's just a place she's in, you still don't ignore them, but you speak to them and you encourage them where they are.
Where they are.
And that's what real friendships are. So Yolanda, I call you the trailblazer. I call you the girl that is not afraid to try anything. Not afraid. So let's talk a little bit about because my conversation with your husband in the last segment or a few segments back was about showing up afraid. And I want to pick your brain just for a minute. What have you ever showed up like knocking, your knees were knocking, like a place where you had to stand where not even you understood why you were asked to stand there, or something you were asked to do and you were just like, did they call the right person? When and this is a stretch for you because like I said, you are a very confident woman. You are. You are. What have you done, Yolanda Presley, where you showed up afraid? See, you can't even... Somebody.
I do it often. Like, it's like, to be quite honest, I think I come off as confident, but really, I be scared.
Ooh, I love the honesty.
I be scared.
I be scared.
Girl, I be scared.
So, what can you think of? Probably out of all the, because Yolanda has spoken on a lot of platforms.
Yeah.
Like, honey, little old On Purpose, honey, is just.
Don't listen to her.
Just a tad bit of what Yolanda has attached to her name. What has been the one thing where you were just like, God, is this really you?
You know, Tawana, even just starting out, when it came to me, like when I wrote my first book.
She's an author too, guys.
So when I wrote that first book and being up all night and just, God just dealing with me about things, bringing things to my remembrance as far as, childhood things and things that I had walked through, growing up, and just knowing that, okay, this is another level. So I'm writing and I'm like, okay, so I know God has called me to pour into women, and this was years ago, and that's when I started the Purpose Coach. So just pouring. I'm like, I know this is what He's called me to do. But you know what I found out? As you begin to step out in certain things, and you may see somebody doing what you do or want to do, maybe doing it at a different level, and something inside of you say, oh, I want to reach out and just, whether inbox them or send them a letter. Back then you was, it wasn't just quick text, you didn't have everybody phone numbers and all of that. So you do those things and crickets.
Been there. Shawana call them gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers. Don't nobody have nothing to say.
Yep. Yeah.
Don't nobody have time for you. But the expectation from you is totally different. Totally different. So trying to reach out, trying to establish myself and what I felt God was calling me to do was terrifying to me, because I experienced a lot of rejection. A lot of rejection. And I said to myself one day, I say, the same ones that won't give me the time of day, the same ones that don't want to hear, don't want to listen, don't want to respond, don't want to do any of that, I'm going to be sitting right next to them on the platform.
Wow.
And they won't have a choice but to look me in my face.
Wow.
And it has happened.
Wow.
And it has happened. Because and that's not in a braggadocious kind of way. It's just that you don't let anything stop you from doing what God has called you to do, and that's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, because it's stuff that we're doing now that He probably put on our hearts a long time ago, and we're just moving into it because we were afraid. But it was just little steps at a time, little steps at a time, little steps at a time. And I remember, even for the church, I've done like. I used to do all these financial workshops and all of these things, and somebody would probably be like, "Oh man, they got it going on." Child, I'm trying to teach y'all about money and brokers all out there. But I could teach it. I could teach it. I could teach it.
Yeah.
But like my mama used to say, I ain't have a partner and no wonder. But I could teach
Some of y'all can feel that in. Y'all know how to fill in the blank.
But that's like God. God will. It's not because it wasn't about my ability or really what I had. It was about obedience. You do what I ask you to do. You I'm just asking you to teach this. You can teach the principles.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to teach principles on not trying. I was teaching them.
You were, honey.
Teaching principles on finance. And I'm trying to find a bankruptcy attorney. Where you at?
Wow.
But I can teach it.
Wow. I hope y'all listening.
You hear what I'm saying? So we can't never get it twisted. I don't care what we see or what a person, how we see a person or how a person show up. I'm showing up because of where I know God is taking me, not because of where I am.
Right, right. It's never about where you are.
It's never about where you
because
are.
we're forever evolving and growing and God promoting us, and so it's never a stop sign. It may be slow.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's never a stop sign. And when you think it's a stop sign, that's when God just flips that thing on you.
It evolves. It's always evolving.
Yes.
And people also, when you talk about purpose, people get stuck into if they know that, they're a nurse or whatever the case may be. I know God has called me to be a nurse, so they've been a nurse for 10 years or 15 years. And then they start getting a little uncomfortable, a little, feeling like, okay, I know that there's more. I know that there's more. But we've been ingrained and taught these things like God can only do one thing at a time.
It's crazy.
No, I'm multifaceted.
And yes, and
I can
so
do
is
more
he.
than one. Absolutely.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I was created in His likeness and in His image.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he does all. He can do anything.
Wow.
So who said that I can only do one? So just because I teach don't mean I can't sell houses? No, I can teach the cover off of ELA curriculum, a lesson plan, and then I'm going to go sell you and your grandma a house.
How about that? So let's talk about the real estate lady.
Come on.
Let's talk about the real estate lady. So I want you to share, Yolanda, like when you started doing this, like it has been nonstop since the day you passed that exam. Like you didn't sit and wait on anything. Like you hit the ground running, and the name, the real estate lady, it is well known.
Yeah.
And if you never heard of it, Google it. Okay? And if you don't know her, find her through my page. But tell us about what is going on with the real estate lady.
The crazy thing about the real estate lady is after I passed that test and I knew where I wanted to be, I was just so excited. But I hit the ground running because I wasn't new to real estate.
You were not.
I wasn't new to housing.
Right.
I had already built up a community of people who trusted me in that arena from years ago. So ever since I was at this, from the city of Leesburg to the county to wherever, I've always been a resource. And
always.
I positioned myself to be a resource. If I didn't know it, I had to find somebody who knew it. But they knew if you just call on her, she'll figure it out. She'll point you in the right direction or whatever the case may be. So that's what I built over the time. So when I passed my test and started doing real estate, started selling homes, it was an automatic. All people needed to know was Yolanda. She can sell your house. She can list, or if you're ready to buy,
y'all, I'm not kidding.
And I was just floored. But you ever been in a place where, because you've experienced loss, lack, been through those things that I talked about earlier, like I was like real serious about from bankruptcy to the whole 9 yards. I'm not even playing, because that was the place that we were in. When I tell people that there was a time when I was lifting up the cushions in my house to find change, to go find Pampers for my baby. Like, this is like real stuff. Like, this is what we went through. So when God repositioned me, and the success started coming, and the loan closings, the closings were coming, and the craziest thing was I always felt like I needed to keep my head down and keep working. Ain't nothing flashy about me.
Nothing,
I ain't trying to show nobody this or be flashy about this or any of that. He said, keep your head down and keep working.
Keep working.
But I also know that I kept my head down and kept working because I was afraid. Every time I close the loan, I'm thinking to myself, this might be the only one. I may not have one after this.
Wow.
What if I go back to where I was? What if I go back to having to get change out of the sofa? What if I had to go back to trying to see if my mama left some money folded up in the ashtray to make sure that we could eat?
Wow.
That was here.
Mm.
It was here because it was hard.
Oh my.
It was hard. And when you go through things like that, people see you on this side,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but they don't know what you went through on this side.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was, it's still for me a hard place to be in because every day, every loan closing, every time I'm working with a client, every time I don't take nothing for granted.
Wow.
Nothing for granted because I'm always saying, God, I thank you. God, I thank you because I don't want to be back there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to go back there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And when God opened this door for me to continue to do real estate, and my old boss called me to come work in Daytona,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't looking for a job. I just wanted to keep doing real estate full time. You know, I got a text one night and it was like, I need help. I need you. Can you help me? Asked some questions, some clarifying questions, got some answers, you know, talked to my husband, and I'm like, oh, I just really want to do real estate, you know. That's how God works. Shekinah was getting ready to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Malachi getting ready to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Full-time real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, real estate, that the market is volatile.
Yes.
You know, it's up and down.
Mm-hmm.
But God saw some things that I didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
So he opened the door. He opened the door for me to make sure that he clarified some things with me, helped me to understand that I got this.
Mm-hmm.
Quit worrying about what happened back then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, that was part of your process.
Mm-hmm.
That's not where you're going right now.
Let that
He
go.
opened that door,
Mm-hmm.
and the door I had to understand going in was temporary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there. I'm still there, but I know it's not long term.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing we got to know when God opens a door. We got to know if it's permanent, if it's temporary, if it's for 5 months, 6 months, 6 years, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
We got to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So now God has positioned me where I don't have to worry about a check,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I'm steady nurturing my people.
And let me tell you something. Let me just say, Yolanda, this is certainly that same emotion and passion that you talk about when you talk about where you came from. I know for a fact that's how you deal with people when you are serving them. Now, Yolanda don't sell houses. Yolanda serves people that
Correct.
want to buy houses.
Correct.
That's a fact.
Right.
And that sensitivity that you function in, that's what makes people want to be connected with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not about $1.
Right. Exactly.
Yolanda not fixing to get you bummed up in no deal
Right.
that's gonna cause you problems later. She cares too much for people.
Yeah.
And I believe, Yolanda, that is why God has kissed you when it comes to the work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Yolanda don't have to really seek out people.
Right.
People are looking for Yolanda.
And that's such a blessing.
It's such a blessing. It's such a blessing. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Such
We're
a
going to have to
blessing.
talk some more.
Yeah.
We have to talk some more. I love your ability to be vulnerable in a place where, like, you don't know who watching.
I know.
But I love it.
I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus. You get up here and just cut up such as this.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
But it's just when you think about what God has done
Yeah. Yeah.
and you realize that it wasn't really it wasn't nothing that you've done.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? It was God.
Oh, God is
It was
amazing.
God.
Listen, my friend, Yolanda Presley.
Such a pleasure.
Yolanda, you'll have to come back.
I'm coming back.
For sure. Yolanda will have to come back. But we are working on a segment between me, Yolanda, and Shawana. So I'm excited about that. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Remember to subscribe so that I don't have to remind you when a new segment is coming. Thank you so much for being committed and sharing, all the sharing that you guys are doing. Again, this is On Purpose, and I am Thawana, your host, and I'm so glad that you're a part of our family. So remember, whatever you do, do it on purpose.